Well, good afternoon YouTubers. I've not done any videos at all, not on the printer or the bike or on anything really since quite a few months now. But yesterday evening I was involved in a minor incident involving the R1. And well, I'm trying to be a little bit philosophical about it now today, but yesterday I was, let's just say I was a little bit angry and a bit fed up about the whole issue. To those of you who are trained eye, you'll already see some of the damage present. The front mudguard there obviously is been snapped off, and at first glance the damage doesn't look or appear to be too bad. But I've been doing a little bit of investigating, and obviously here the right hand side headlight has been smashed and pushed into its housing. It's recessed in there quite substantially. This side hasn't received as much damage, but it's still marked in places. The nose cone or the headlamp fairing has suffered damage also. There's a crack and there's marks all over it. You know, it's quite dirty at the moment. We squashed bugs and whatnot, and that's just superficial. That would wash off. I'm not worried about any of that. But there is damage done to the finish or the plastic, as well as the crack here. Now, if it was just that, I wouldn't be worried, okay? I've priced the mudguard, and I've priced the headlamps and the headlamp fairing, and that I think is roughly about £1,000, okay? Maybe £800 or so, yeah. However, basically what happened was that I was parked in traffic, or stopped in traffic, and we were opposite a petrol forecourt, and the vehicle in front of me, Vauxhall van, the driver of that decided that he'd take a shortcut through the forecourt or the petrol station, and he was a little bit in front of the forecourt, so he decided to reverse, and he didn't see me. I was in his blind spot, unfortunately, and he reversed right into me. Now, when he reversed, the first point of contact was on the front of the wheel here, maybe about there, I'd say roughly. And as he reversed, his bumper rode up the front wheel and snapped the mudguard. As that was occurring, that was all sort of lifting his suspension somewhat off the ground. You know, not off the ground, sorry, but just up in an upwards direction. And the bottom or the rear door on his left hand side rear door, which would swing open this way, it came in and contacted or connected with the nose cone here. Now, you've seen the damage on the other side, but if you look here, you'll see that there's been the fairing's out of whack, out of kilter. It's not in line anymore. And also here, this is actually a little bit proud here, and that's a little bit recessed, that side. Well, that's significantly recessed. This is just a little bit proud. But you can see here that the seam is no longer even here either. You know, that would have been a much nicer fit. And moving round the side here, you can see that the plastics here have, you know, things have snapped off. There's clips there that have snapped off, and this is no longer you know, this is all, I don't know how that would have come apart in the first place, but that's all been burst. Now that in itself again doesn't look too bad, but this bike was immaculate, yeah. And it wasn't my fault. I was just sitting there and it was him that reversed into me. You can see here that there's also been, or there's currently misalignment of the panels, and that's all points that will vibrate in the wind when you're driving the vehicle and then subsequently crack because they're no longer connected correctly. If there's any misalignment of these plastics over a fairly short period of time, they'll vibrate until they suffer fatigue and crack. Now, so whether or not that panel would need to be replaced or not, I don't know, but I would currently say yes. And I'd also think that this main bracket here, which the fairing mounts upon, also the horn here is something's been broken off there. I just noticed that. I don't know if that's been part of the bracket, possibly. Yeah, you can see that there in there. Look, that's the, I don't know if you'll see that just at the end of my finger there. There's a shiny bit. Well, that's part of the casting of this bracket, and that part's obviously snapped off, so that bracket will definitely need to be replaced also. So there'll be damage in here. On the other side of the motorbike, you can see that the deformation of the plastics is more significant. So there's probably been more damage done on this side than may be apparent at a glance. It's certainly repairable. You know, the rest of the vehicle never sustained any damage. I didn't drop the vehicle. I was standing stationary in a sort of braced position, holding the handlebars with both feet on the ground when the impact, if you like, occurred. So, but my main fear is, has there been any damage done to the wheel from the weight of the vehicle? Has there been any damage done to the brake discs? And obviously then the next concern would be the fork stanchions and well, the fork legs. I don't know what, I think the chromed parts of the stanchions, and I can't remember the name of the upper section. And that then obviously connects to your yokes, both down here on both sides, and also the top yoke, and then the yoke stem comes up through the frame. Now at a glance I would say the frame is okay, but it only takes a little amount of twist to destroy the alignment between the front wheel and the rear wheel. And if that occurs, the bike will never handle correctly again. You'll get increased tyre wear. These tyres don't last that long anyway, but at least they currently wear in a uniform manner. When they become when the profile becomes non-uniform, the bike becomes unstable, and leads to handling issues such as vibration and lack of stability as well. So that's my current problem. The insurance company are going to replace it or provide me with a Kawasaki ZR 1000. I don't know much about them. They look like a sort of sports touring hybrid type of bike. You know, you don't have the full windshield, so I don't think they'll be particularly fast, but they are quite. They've got quite a sporty look about them, so they might be a quite torquey bike, I think. So it might be fun to drive, fun to ride, at least until this bike's assessed. This has got to be collected when they drop the Kawasaki off for me, and I'll have that for the interim or the duration rather of the period it takes to assess the bike and discern whether or not it's repairable. Now it's certainly repairable. You know, there's been no damage to the radiator or the exhausts. You know, the impact was not that severe on the front here. Whether or not it's done damage to the forks and yoke, I don't know yet. I phoned up Damerel's down in Cornwall. They were quite they're a Yamaha dealer, importer, and I got some of the prices here. This is for new parts, remember. Headlights, a pair of headlights would be $485. Bear in mind this bike here is immaculate. It's got less than 10,000 miles on the clock, so I'm wanting new parts. If it had been my own error that had caused the damage, I would likely source parts on eBay and try to keep the costs down. But this is my pride and joy, this bike, and I look after it, and I want if it's going to be repaired, I want it to be repaired back to the immaculate condition it was in. Like I say, there's a bit of mud and a few bugs on it, but I'm not worried about that. That washes off. So anyway, two headlights, 485 quid. The headlamp fairing, 291 quid. The mudguard, 117 quid. Front wheel, if it's damaged, I don't know. The bike is rideable at the moment, but I think on the corners it seems to be a little bit unstable, so there could be an alignment issue or something there. I really don't know at the moment. But if the front wheel was damaged, it would be 564 quid. Front tyre, 100 quid. Whether or not the tyre has suffered some sort of rupture or internal damage to the reinforced wiring because of the weight of the vehicle pressing on it, I don't know. Certainly parts of the mudguard, the front mudguard were pushed deeply into the tyre. It's not currently punctured. It seems in reasonable condition, but you don't know. Yeah, it could suffer a blowout easily. Front discs, 311 quid. That's for the pair. The forks, each assembly is 591 each, so you're looking at about 1180 quid there. The fairing bracket, which I mentioned in the video earlier, which is I got a bit snapped off it, is 186 quid. Now whether or not the side panels need replacing, I don't know, but they'll be let's say they're of an equivalent cost as the headlight fairing, maybe slightly cheaper because they're not quite as complicated. Let's say they're 200 quid each, yeah? But without including the side panels, the current cost of those parts is a total of 3,630 quid 57 pence. Now bear in mind, folks, I don't know if the wheel would come with bearings fitted. I don't know if the front wheel spindle is possibly cracked or twisted or bent in some manner. Certain parts of the plastics may have had clips broken, or there might be other damage to smaller items which is not included in this list. So the total could easily be £4,000 to put this bike back to as it was. If there is no damage to the wheel, the discs, the forks, the yokes, and I just take the bare cosmetics sort of face value cost, then it's headlights, fairing, mudguard, front bracket, and possibly side panels. So then I would be looking at between £1,000 and say £1,500. So plus there's the time to strip it and replace the parts that are damaged. So I would say it's likely that they'll write it off. The bike value, well, that's up to the individual, I guess, really. But I think the book value is somewhere in the region of 6,000, maybe slightly less. So you're very quickly approaching the point where it's going to cost more to repair it than to buy another one. But if I'm in the position where I've actually got to buy another one, then I will incur extra costs, travelling to and from the place to pick the vehicle up, the extra fuel involved in driving the vehicle home. Will I find a similar bike? Now, I've had a quick look today on eBay, and there's I saw 3 or 4 2008 R1s in the sort of graphic grey or black colour, and they're about the 5.6, 5.8, 6.1 sort of region, but most of them have got more miles than this one. I saw one with a very low mileage of 2,000 and something miles, but the boy mentioned that there was a few marks on it, so that wasn't apparent or very clear in the pictures he posted. So it was about the 5.8 mark, but it was white, and I don't want a white bike. I quite like the look of the black one. So and I bought this bike way straight out of the showroom, so I know what I've got. Going second hand, you've never got this surety that it hasn't been abused and thrashed and maybe possibly crashed and fixed up and then punted, So is this the end for the R1? Possibly. And although I've got the ZR1000, or will have the ZR1000 for the summer, or for as long as it takes them to come to a decision about the condition of this bike, will I receive enough money from the insurance company to actually replace it without incurring extra charges myself? I don't see why I should have to pay more money out of my own pocket to replace a vehicle that was in perfect condition with another vehicle of as close as or similar condition as is feasible. Why should I have to pay extra money for that? If I only get £4,000 from the insurance company, let's say £5,000, even then to get a vehicle the same as this, I'm going to have to probably go another £1,000 over that to, say the bike's going to cost me 5.6 or 5.8, plus my time and my travel to get it home, plus any other costs like possibly, if I buy a second-hand bike, the chain might be a bit stretched, or the tyres might be a bit worn, whatever, I'm going to be out of pocket here. I know I'm going to be out of pocket here. It's no on, you pay your insurance for a reason, However, look, hearing that, look at the weather too. First nice day we've had this summer, and I'm sitting with that. So, that's almost 20 minutes now, folks. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll update with you when I've got further information, and well, I hope you wish me luck, because I am fucking gutted.